Yes, this is the 1989 BMW M3. And today I'm going to show you how to change the alternator. Okay, so first thing before you work on your alternator, you come back and you disconnect the battery. We did it by disconnecting the positive. Make sure it does not come in contact. So pull it away from it, because you can just put it right here, slips off, and while you're working you get electrocuted. So step one, disconnect the battery. I will wait about 10 minutes. But by the time you take all this off to get to the alternator, all the voltage should have gone. If anything, you can always step on your brake light, on the brake pedal, so it could drain all the power. That's the new alternator, and you might as well change the belt. On the alternator I have here, I have the VAC from VAC Motorsports overdrive or underdrive pulleys. This one came with the original pulley, so I bought the original size belt. For the bigger, I believe it's bigger. Yeah, it looks pretty big. The bigger pulley that's on it right now, it's a different size belt. But I'm going to stick with the original, and I'm just going to keep the pulley when I return the old alternator for the core. So start by disconnecting this. And we're just going to take this, and this off. Alright, that shouldn't take you that much to take off. Maybe less than 1 minute. Anyways, this is where we're gonna loosen this off. Here, and here. These, I believe, you could break easily. That's why they seal the brackets. I don't know if you could tell, but the alternator bracket, you can see some missing teeth. Fortunately, those are not the teeth that we're going to need. Once you loosen these two bolts, the one that goes here and the one goes here, you can push the alternator all the way towards the engine, and then just slide the bell off. By the way, this is a 13mm, and that's a 13mm. You're going to need to use a ratchet to hold it down and a key to hold it down. Alright, once that's done, take it off very gently without stressing the connectors that are in the back. And just in case you don't know how many connectors are, just look at the new one. That way you could give yourself an idea of what you're getting into. Okay, so now we remove the alternator. You're going to have some patience and lots of coordination, because in the rear there's a grounding cable, and that grounding cable is this one right here. That is bolted onto this side, which on this one's going to be right here. That was a 10mm bolt. You have lots of patience. Now that you take the alternator off, you're going to have to put on the new belt. In order to do that, you're going to have to take off the old belt. As you can see, this has a fan clutch. For those who had the electric fan conversion, you don't have to deal with this. But if you don't, just have the original pieces like this one, you're going to need to have the fan clutch tool. Now, the fan clutch tool, you won't be able to find it at any auto stores, not at least here in South Carolina. But luckily for me, I went to a bicycle shop not too long ago, and they have the bicycle tool is the same size for that bolt. Now, is it counterclockwise or clockwise? I don't know. Just be gentle with it, and we'll find out. Okay, so the way you're gonna break that bolt loose, this is the tool I was talking about. Maybe you could go to any bicycle shop, and they might have this tool. It's called Park Tool, and it's a 32 and the 31 end, and I believe it is a 32. Yeah. Yeah, it's a 32 millimeter, and it's slim enough for you to put maybe a flat screwdriver or make some type of other contraption. Or they have fan clutch tools that will line up to the water pump bolts, but it won't line up to that, and you can use both of them. I use just a screwdriver, and I wait for it to get stuck with the other two bolts, and while that's done, you break the bolt loose this way towards you. So to break it loose, it is counterclockwise, and to tighten it, it's clockwise. Doing it on the driver's side. So we'll loosen that up, take this belt off, and put on the new one. This is just a quick comparison between the belts. The new one is obviously a little bit bigger because of the pulley. The pulley was bigger. This is another one, so it's a bit shorter. Alright, some things that I'm going to change. This was the original grounding wire that goes here. As you can see, it's pretty short. So when you're taking off the old one, it's pretty hard to take off. And when you're going to put it in, you have limited space. You're going to have to be holding the alternator like this and wiggling around without stressing this. So what I did is I made a new grounding wire, a little bit longer than that. And it is smaller in size. It's not as thick as that one. It's not as thick a gauge. But it's not only going to be grounding by that. I'm also going to put a bigger grounding wire. This one. But this one's going to be longer. I'm going to run this one and bolt it on right here. I'm going to hit it with a wire brush. But now I'll be grounded in two ways. So not just from the back, but also from the side. Making it easier in case you ever have to change it again or have to get to any of those components. It won't be that difficult to unplug it. Okay, and this is the new alternator in this place. Now, this is the old belt. The old belt, it's 7355. 7355. When tying, it's still the alternator hits the intake plenum. The original, what the factory code is 7340, but this one's too short. The reason it's too short is because the water pump has the VAC overdrive pulley or underdrive pulley, or whatever you want to call it, but it's bigger than stock. And the power's this is the other VAC, but that doesn't matter because the alternator belt runs with a water pump in the crankshaft. But the water pump pulley is bigger than stock. So the stock belt is too short. The other belt that came with the pulleys is too long, 7355. So I need somewhere in between 40 and 55. So it's going to be either 45 or 50. So what I'm going to do is go back to the parts store, return this belt, and have them give me a 45 and a 50 and try them both out, because you don't want the alternator to be hitting the plenum. It doesn't have to be, it can't be all the way here. It has somewhere in between. It can't be stretched out all the way out, because then you're going to be hitting other parts. But other than that, once that gets put on, the fan clutch gets put on. This is already hooked up in the back. I don't know if you can take a look here. Everything's bolted back in place. And this is the extra ground. And the extra ground, what I decided, I'm going to be running it here. That's where it's going to be bolted on. Once that's put back into place, hook up the battery, crank it up, make sure there's no squeak and make sure there's no misalignment. And that's it. And then we'll do an update video how long this alternator from Ultima lasts. Supposedly it's a remanufactured Bosch, but O'Reilly sells it under the Ultima brand. What the tools you're going to need for this, I used a 13mm, 10mm, and also a 8mm for the smaller positive alternator wire here, the positives. So that one's a 13 and 8. These are going to be 13. The other one's 13. Apparently BMW like the number 13 a lot. And this wraps up the alternator install on the BMW e30 M3. Have a great day.